Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the Sensi Censor herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
Hi, Alex. It is so funny. You were just asking.
Yep.
I don't have a name for you. I made a word, and you hopped on it.
Yep.
Love it.
It is episode 143 and April 19th. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Monday, April 19th, Mercury Ingress Taurus.
Hummm.
And Sun Ingress Taurus.
Happy birthday, Taurians.
Thursday, April 22nd, Venus conjunct Uranus.
Earth Day.
Friday, April 23rd, Mars Ingress Cancer.
His fall.
Saturday, April 24th, Mercury conjunct Uranus.
More info on a subject.
And Venus square Saturn.
Disagreeing works today.
Then ending the week with Sandy's conflict day, Sunday, April 25th, Mercury square Saturn.
No decisions yet, please.
Then in Talisman time, Sandy has finished up one special talisman that is no longer available to authentically and artfully connect to reputation, and one upcoming to fully conduct the act of insemination. Then on the horizon, we have our April 21st CWS webinar, Out of Bound Planets, our Astrology Forecast, as well as some other events that we want to share with you. Then in our house, Sandy and I are going to recap our two latest free events, the Vision Board Party and the 7-Day Intention Challenge. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions. And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is fierce, and so you finally know you control where you go. Hello, Sensi Censor.
It's my favorite.
I know.
Who doesn't have a Sensi needs a Sensi.
Well, and if anyone doesn't know what a Sensi is, it's very similar to a Nest. It's the digital thermometer of the air conditioning or heating unit. And you did not want one for the longest time.
No, I don't need to use that thing. I have the thermometer. I can go up, down, over here, go here. And it was gifted to me then because I was so adamant not to have one.
Right.
And it was gifted.
Yep.
About a year ago. Plus.
And now you are the Sensi queen. You are on that app all the time.
All the time.
Flipping on and off, because right next to where you do your readings, that's where the furnace room is. And so it can be a little bit loud.
And disturbing.
And disturbing for you. And so, yeah, you were right before we record these, we turn off the heater or air conditioning unit. And you can do it all from your phone. You don't have to walk upstairs and use that touch pad.
The old-fashioned thermostat, Alex?
Yes.
Yeah, that touch pad.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe next week we'll talk about the Whiz.
Oh, yeah. So I first want to go direct to you all you listeners. Thank you so much for sending in your emails, your love, your support, those 5-star reviews. We love them. This is coming from Kate G. She says, "Hey, Astro ladies, I'm so stoked for this event." And she's talking about the vision boarding party we just had last week. So much so that I've already glued and stuck all my intentions for the new moon to my board already. I just couldn't help myself. Heard the podcast today and love that you gals are doing a pop-up with the newly named collections. I heard you mention Tula. My ears perked up. I recently helped name a new company called Tula Veda, which is a combo of two Sanskrit words meaning balance and knowledge. Another fun fact is that Tula is also the Sanskrit word for Libra. How fun is that? Best of luck with the pop-up, and thank you for always being a light of optimism. Have a blessed day. Namaste, ladies.
Kate, I miss you.
Yes, and thanks for sending that in. That's all really interesting information. So Tula is Sanskrit for Libra.
Interesting. And what you wrote, the research you did around that when you wrote it on the card that goes out with every order of Tula, is about that.
Right.
So really cool. And I found it funny too, Kate, that you were the first one on the Zoom call for the vision board party. You were probably waiting for it to open up and like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. We loved it. And we're actually going to be talking about that in our house. So stay tuned to the end of the episode. So let's move into the transits. Monday, April 19th, today, if you're listening on time, Mercury Ingress Taurus.
I have to talk about Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the messenger. It's the winged messenger who has wings on his sandals. And actually, Mercury invented sandals. It was the first shoe of the ages. And he has a winged helmet on. So he's very swift in movement. And he's been moving so fast as he likes to do. But suddenly, on this day, he hits dirt. He moves into Taurus.
Mud, more like.
And this is at 5:29 a.m. And I titled this, Hummm. It reminds me of the T-shirt that I bought for my brother, who was that, when you're trying to connect to something.
Yeah, that little pinwheel.
That goes dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee around in a circle. And it says, I'm thinking. In other words, is unable to deliver on a quick speed the message that you're trying to dispense.
And I really like this transit for, really grounding in some meditation.
It's a slower connection to your internal internet. So don't get mad at it like you might get mad at some of the internet connections. I know I do. Work with it like sort of a vacation. Going slower than you want on a normal day. I remember back in those days when my very first entry into my place, my destination of vacation would be immediate slowdown. Because, you had to hurry and pack, get things settled at home, make sure your lights are turned off and everything, the iron's off. Not that I iron. Get to the plane on time. Get your car. Get your luggage. Yep. You have to wait for your like all of this movement, and then you get to your location and you've unloaded. You've put your things in your room and you've gone down to the outdoor veranda to have your cocktail. And it's in that moment where the bartender, the waiter, is not coming fast enough, and it's in that moment where you're like, oh, things go slower here on vacation time. So I must adjust. So it's an adjustment here. So, hang out here. It's not bad. It's just slower.
And just needs to feel comfortable. So let's move on to the next transit that day, Sun Ingress Taurus. So not only do we have Mercury in Taurus, we now have the Sun joining. So happy birthday, Taurians.
Enjoy your thoughts and perceptions, right? Because these are tangible. And they need to be put in your memory book because it'll add up to a richness of story, or just a Taurus-like, value and richness, something that's tangible. So, be steeped in it, if you will. And actually, as we move into this week, in this week, there are 3 ingresses going on this week. That's a lot. That's actually a lot for a whole month. So there are many shifts going to take place this week. This is the first on Monday, and the next one we'll talk about when we get there is Friday. So I just wanted to, when one planet goes into the next sign, that sign that it's coming from and the one it's going to are completely different in modality and in element. So that's why it's so felt. It's such a shift. Interesting because, as a side note, I've been very, very pushy maybe for you to get things done. Like, get the Mother's Day thing done. Get all the photographs up. We've got all the products done. Let's get all the things done that we need to get done with the wedding. Because with this, all of these planets, the sun, particularly the sun and Mercury and Mars right now are still in signs that want movement. Mm-hmm. Because this coming week, things are going to slow down. So I want, and you didn't probably know this, why I was a little push to get things in order, because by Monday and the week, things are going to slow down. So things aren't going to be as quick to come to decision or fruition.
Well, good news. And Thursday, April 22nd, Venus conjunct Uranus.
So this is Venus conjunct Uranus, and this happens to be Earth Day. And this is at 10 degrees of Taurus, which is Earth sign. And this happens at 8:01 p.m. And Venus is certainly looking around saying, I need a change. How can I quickly make a change? Maybe I need a logo, something in the art field, something in the, I know that's actually one of the things you're working on.
Yeah.
Is, to be excited for a new movement. Because the last time this happened was April, I can barely read my writing, April 27th, 2020. And remember that surprise? So this could be, excitable surprises, but it also could be breakdowns. But if things broke down, it means that there's a reason for it that needs change. Like, does your car need a change? Have you been avoiding something?
Right.
So pay attention on this day, what needs to change.
And Friday, April 23rd, Mars ingress Cancer.
This moves into his fall. This is one of the ingresses. This is at 6:49 a.m. So it's boom, right smack in the beginning of the day. This will cut in. It goes into Cancer. This is where I said he's in his fall, because Mars is exalted in the opposite sign of Cancer, which is Capricorn. So if he's exalted there, he's fallen in Cancer, which means he can't get up. He's kind of fallen on his face. So this can cut into feelings or into family or into home life. Is there sort of renovation that needs to be done? Take a hammer to that kitchen. Take a hammer to the innate object that needs the change that you've decided the day before. You need some change around, breaking a habit or getting a new lease on life kind of thing. This is the day to get serious about it.
And also that same day, Saturday, April 24th, Venus squares Saturn.
This happens at 11:22 a.m. This is disagreeing works today. Isn't that interesting?
You said that so positively.
Well, it's like, take responsibility now. Make shifts that do work. But wait to begin it. Simply discuss all the directions, turns, and bumps in the road. Maybe compare what you've done in the past, what's going on present, and what you foresee for the future. Because this is a day of just, slowing down, being more cautious about things, pausing, of coming to a disagreement, which is like, don't yell, don't be judgy, just like, what do you think and what do I think? That's all we're doing today.
It sounds like an evaluation of some sort.
Good. Yeah. Because this could be constriction, right? Because Venus meets in a square to Saturn. Now, remember, Mercury is floating around here too. Mercury's moving, Mercury always moves, usually always moves faster than Venus. So we're going to have a chance to maybe have more of a talk through on this on the next day. But, wait to begin any of these. Just identify the past, the present, and the future.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on to that day. Your conflict day, which is Sunday, April 25th, starts off with Mercury square Saturn.
Yeah, boom, right away. By 7 a.m., there's no decisions yet. And there's no white smoke coming from the Vatican. So we know that there's no agreement yet. There has been no balance in making this decision. It's really interesting that I did actually a little research around that, but I'll talk about that later. So yeah, be careful here for, getting into the weeds. You'll want to get into the weeds. You'll want to understand the small print, the what is trying to be implied that you don't want to move forward quite yet because you don't know if you can hold that responsibility.
Okay. And so the same day, just a little bit later, Mercury conjunct Venus.
This is nice. This is Venus is in Taurus at 12 degrees of Taurus. She has been moving fast from Monday to Sunday. So in this 6 days, she has moved 12 degrees. This is at 6:19 on a Sunday. At least you're talking. That's the important part here, because these two really want to come together and have nice time together. So ask clarifying questions to understand a new perspective. Is there, honey, or friend, or sibling, or child, or somebody in your work is like, do you understand what I've been trying to convey these last few days? Would you let me hear you break it down so that I can hear what your conversation is on what I was trying to say, and I will agree then, or set you straight, and then I'll listen to. I've listened to yours, so this is what I gather from my perspective.
And so that being a conflict day, it's really nice that we can possibly get resolution over that day as well.
Exactly, because it's that, it starts with the day before on Saturday the 24th with Venus square Saturn. And then early Sunday morning, Mercury square Saturn. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the day, Venus and Mercury join. So it's kind of like, what do we want? What do we desire, Venus, that we are not getting, square Saturn? And how can we discuss it? Here are some options. Mm-hmm. Here are some possibilities. And here we are getting clear on what is it you expect? What are my responsibilities for what you expect? And here's what I anticipate. Mm-hmm. So good time to blow it up and then calm it down.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it seems like kind of a slower week this week, which, mm-hmm. Might come as a relief to some of you listeners out there. But so let's move into Talisman times. You have finished up one, and that was April 14th, to authentically and artfully connect to reputation.
Yeah, I use the new moon here in Aries. I am steady here and now. I radiate my worth and beauty into my career. This leads others to me as if a spark of eminence appears. So this was Venus just moving right into her domicile of Taurus, with the sun being in his exaltation. So the moon was in her exaltation. So it was, and the sun was making this really nice sextile to Jupiter. So it was about coming out into the world that is radiant of worth and beauty. And actually, that sold.
Yeah, it was a pre-sale.
Yeah.
Sold from here on the podcast. So upcoming, let's talk about the talisman that you plan to make Thursday, April 22nd, to fully conduct the act of insemination.
I know when I read this to you for our pre-notes.
I was like, ooh.
Is that how you feel about it, Alex? That's how we all got here. But I haven't done one like this. This is with the moon in the 13th lunar mansion, which is about having the masculine version of an infertility, right? Usually it's the woman unable, not all the time, but sometimes it's the woman's infertility that becomes the issue. This is for a man. So to fully conduct the act of insemination, I am free to have children. My binding issue is now unbinded, and all is free to roam and make the proper connection to impregnate my love.
Aww.
More love to share with these babies.
I like that one. I like the affirmation better than the intention.
Well, the intention is to create the act to fully conduct.
Conduct. Dun, 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 dun.
And so this is obviously would be for a man or a woman buying for a man. Could have that
Talisman.
Yeah.
So let's quick remind everybody about the orbit of the month. That orbit is This Is Exciting. And this is just available for April when you get free shipping with this. So the link is in the description if you wanted to. It's an automatic coupon. You'll get $5 off, which will cover the shipping plus a little bit more.
Right.
So let's move on to the horizon.
Yeah, baby. We've really knocked down a few things this week already.
Yes, we have.
But we've always got the next
We always have
the
a
next
plan.
little clown showing up as we punch other clowns down.
So April 21st, we have the CWS webinar, The Out of Bounds Planets. And you've been hearing us talk a lot about this webinar. You can personalize it. You can really engage with it, because these webinars, when we have Sandy and Susan, which we call Chatting with the Stars, the CWS, when they come together, we tend to have it much more educational, because you will normally bring in the talisman aspect, but you do that by yourself. And you, I mean, Sandy, I'm talking to you. Mm-hmm. So the CWS webinars are more educational. Mm-hmm. This Out of Bounds Planet webinar is going to be about just that. We're going to dive into what is an out of bounds planet, what makes it out of bounds. Is it always out of bounds? No. So and also, if you want to personalize it, we can then take it a step deeper. Do you personally have any out of bounds planets?
And you would not see this on a regular natal chart. That does not depict the declination of where the planets are in the field of the moving away from the ecliptic. So,
right.
You'll get a different looking image of the section that I will be sending everyone, which has some information on it. But I don't have any out of bounds planets.
I have 2.
You have 2. And which is why you're the boss and I'm the lagger behind.
Yes. Sometimes we trade off.
Because the out of bounds planets want to move in a out of bounds way. They want to go out of the restrictions and limitations that the sun asks them to stay within. Mm-hmm. So come on, it's $30.
Exciting.
It's $30, right. And we're doing these webinars every other month, not every month like we were doing before. So come on.
Yeah, and we're
just a couple days away.
Really good, great educational points. So April 24th, we have our May Astrology Forecast. Now, this is our free event. It's live on Facebook. And, of course, links in the description. But also, if you wanted to totally, this is the biggest tip. This is like the cheat. We have a cheat sheet that will get you all of the dates that Sandy and Susan are talking about. You can add extra notes in there, or you don't necessarily even have to show up. That cheat sheet has all of the information from that hour-long Facebook Live event that we host. And so you can transfer that straight into your calendar so that you're aware, okay, this is what Sandy says about this day, and this is what Susan says about this day. And it's
fun.
It's a great way to see the 2 perspectives, because we have you who's coming in from, a much more, I guess, personalized and
more on an emotional
emotional basis.
I'm a Pisces.
And then you also have Susan's perspective, who she does financial astrology and stock markets and what to do, when to buy the house, when to sell the house, those types of...
And more of a realist.
Right.
I'm an illusionist.
More practical. So it's a great resource for you if you just want to... keep track of those days, similar to how we do this on the podcast, but it's all written down for you. We have the symbols on there, so you're going to get a better representation and imagery of those yourself, so that when you see Mercury and Aries, you know immediately what those symbols are.
Yeah, we're starting to do. We've been doing that and talking about the degrees. So it's a learning tool as well.
Right.
And did I just hear you say you redecorated that?
It's coming out the following
next month.
Yes.
Okay, for the month of June.
Yes.
So at the halfway point, you have re-logoed it. I guess is that a good word?
Redesigned. Yes.
Okay.
So it'll just be a little bit more simple to take in with your eyes. So also, I wanted to announce that we have our Mother's Day pop-up. Now, we talk a lot about intention beads here, but our roots are completely set in what is called She Beads, our original OG company. And this Mother's Day pop-up is unlike anything we've done in the last
six or 7 or 8 years, really. And we closed the studio 6 years ago, but we probably haven't done this full of a collection offering, 3 collections with a name. We're using the SB logo again. We've got cards that accompany each one that describes the iris, the gloria, or the tula. And I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And it brought us back to a time when, we were doing this seasonally. And that was just, mind-boggling to us, being like, wow, we really did. We put so much work into this. And it was a constant, cycle that we were a part of.
And I have to mention, too, that when we were doing them seasonally, that we had 40 employees.
Right.
So I had 25 artisans. I had 8
photographers.
Stringers. I had a photographer. I had an accountant. I had an operations manager. I had a shipping department manager.
Marketing.
Right?
You had
yeah. And you were there too. I was there in charge, ruling everything. But this one seemed even more personal because it's just me and you. Mm-hmm. We've pulled Crystal in to do some of the marketing PR stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've pulled in 4 of my artisans.
Right.
So I've given these part-time jobs. And so, I really hope that we do well with this Mother's Day collection to support us as a small business, women owned and women run.
Right.
So the 5 people that we have pulled in for this Mother's Day pop-up are all women.
Yes.
And are so excited to have this part-time job.
And they're all moms, except for me. I'm the only non-mom in our...
And they're all moms, and they're all people except for the new Crystal that you're training now. These are former employees of mine that I've got to pull back on, and they're like, yes, Sandy, yes.
Yes.
Tell me more. We're so excited.
Yes.
To bring extra money into their house.
And because we're on the subject, I wrote a little blurb about each of the collections, and there's 3, and I wanted to read them here just so you got an idea of how we named these.
And remember, we're still offering that free bracelet, 1 Gloria, 1 Tula, and 1 Iris.
Yes.
So if you know of anyone's name that that has that name, have them email Alex at intentionbeads.com, and you get a free bracelet.
Yes. Okay, let's start with Iris.
Okay.
So Iris is a sultry matte black with fluorescent colors and is our artistic representation of traversing the depth and bursting through the soil into the bright color of the day. Iris is a badass beauty. The iris flower generally symbolizes a trinity, a divine link between the heaven and earth realms, psychic abilities and intuition, divine truth, hope, and rebirth. Planting iris in your garden and gazing upon it can bring a heightened sense of connection, intuition, and divine royalty.
Who wants to run out right now and get some of those bulbs?
It's gorgeous. Yeah. And so let's move on to Gloria. Gloria is a springtime sweetie with pastel coral, sherbet purple, and light mint green, inspired by the morning glory. This flower of the morning glory is often related to the finite nature of those precious moments. Every morning, the morning glory blooms, and it represents a moment that we want to hold on to. And interestingly enough, each flower blooms within the morning and dies within that same day. So it's those fleeting moments.
Yeah,
And it's just like, we have to really appreciate those moments as they come and while they're, right in front of us.
I love what you're doing here, because in She Beads land, we never really talked about this inspiration and this connection of the celestial movements, right? So we've closed that business, went into intention beads, and it's all about that,
right?
It's all about the planets in the constellations. And now I see what you're doing. When you read these to me, I got a shudder going through my body, going, what a beautiful way. And to realize that all flowers have such a connection to God and the universe and the sun.
Completely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Go
let's
on
move
with the
in.
next
Yes.
one.
Let's move on to our last one. Tula is a modest periwinkle purple with lively pops of saffron orange and candy red. Tulips signify joy, enthusiasm, and a longing for the rays of sunshine. They're also used to convey and display a sense of understanding, mutual connection, and an appreciation between two people. Sending a bouquet of orange tulips means that you share a deep connection with that recipient.
And you know what? I know you're in a class to what class are you in? To copyright. You're doing really well. That's gorgeous. I know you wrote this.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud that you
It's
wanted
been fun.
to recite that right now, because it's so gorgeous.
Yeah. So let's just wrap up in on the horizon.
Well, no, we have the Constellation Bracelet Workshop.
Right, with the Constellation Bracelet Workshop, May 11th through June 24th. This bracelet and workshop, we only have one spot left.
Yeah.
So if you are interested, if you want to ask us questions, we are here, but really do that quickly because we only have one spot left. We will be then, bringing up and into the autumnal equinox. So if you don't want to wait till then, hurry up. So that's a wrap on the horizon. Let's move into our house. So I wanted to talk about our free events that we were doing and are still doing. So the vision boarding party was just last week.
I think you did I am so proud of you, Alex, for taking the lead on that, because it was here on the podcast literally 2 weeks ago when I said, oh yeah, we're going to have the new moon in Aries. It's a really good time. We used to do vision boards there. And you were like, well, why can't we? And I'm over here going, no, it can't be added to our schedule. Are you kidding me?
Right. I mean, we are juggling a lot.
Because I'm the one that comes up with the ideas and you're the one that cuts me down on half of them. So now you're coming up with an idea. I'm trying to tell you, are you going to add to your own plate? And you succeeded.
Yeah. And it was great. I had a huge help from Crystal, and we were able to put together, and it's actually really nice. You have this visioning capability. I want this, I want that, I want that. And then all of a sudden it manifests, and I show you like, here, this is what I've come up with. And you're like, no, I want this here, and that needs to be there, and don't forget about that.
Usually. Yeah.
Right. But this time I got to be that person. And it was so nice because normally I'm the one like creating and putting the PDFs together or putting the images or the emails.
And following my direction. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was very cool to be on that side of things. And
puff, puff.
Puff, puff. And we got a lot of great response. I mean, everyone was like, wow, I've either never done a vision board, which, that is so exciting to me to share that with people because it is such a transformative and creative time to give yourself. But then there were people who were like, I haven't done this in over 10 years. And I forgot how impactful and meaningful and fun it is.
The fun. And how impactful to put your the picture of your face, of you, in the center, and how you're radiating all these, rays throughout your life.
And it's all connected to you, because when you see a vision board, if you don't feel that connection, if it's not there, it's kind of, that's a great magazine picture that I cut out once, But when you put put your personalized stamp on it. I think that that's just wonderful. And we did it with the, sharing a little bit of astrological knowledge. We picked the time when we were doing it at the new moon in Aries, kind of the first new moon of the year. And also we brought in the housing aspects of astrology, where the circle is divided into 12 parts. And those are all different parts of our life and who we are and how we show up. I loved it. I think it was great. And actually, it's still available on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
So if you head over to Facebook, search Intention Beads, you'll be able to see in our video archives that visioning board is still there.
How can you sitting in your car or at home right now, get your vision board to us? Alex, what would be they just email you?
No, they take a picture. They take a picture and post it on Instagram or Facebook and then tag us.
See, that's how my brain is
super
not
easy.
working.
It's
Here,
super
take it,
easy.
send it, put it in a tube, mail it to us, and we'll take a picture of it and get it back to you. That's where my
Right.
brain, it is hard to go from spirit world into the reality world of how things really work on the ground.
Yeah.
But I found it really interesting because I picked a green background and I started cutting mine out, and actually I didn't see any of the paperwork that you had been working on until you were like, Mom, here's your packet. We're about to go on live. Mom, say hi. And I was like, whoa, I'm just now getting this packet. And we're like, you've got some weirdo contraption going here. It looks like some sort of trapeze thing going on with your
Well, it was an overhead
thing.
Camera.
Yeah.
So anyone who does Zoom or like orchestrates Zoom like me, it's kind of a feat. Otherwise you have to have someone standing up there with a really, really great arm muscles that isn't going to be shaking 30 minutes into it.
Where is he, by the way? But anyway, you had it all set up. It looked like this contraption, and it still is. It's still here, actually. I don't know what we're doing with this. Still here. We haven't had the time.
I'm taking it down soon.
But it was interesting. So we got all to the first house of self, second house of money, third house of neighbors and siblings and communication. And it was interesting. And I'm putting and pasting things on. And I step back and look at it and go, I have 2 houses empty. I have the 8th house empty and the 11th house empty, which are my goals, wishes, my friends, and my associations and groups. So I'm not done because I obviously need to fill that in. And I just question anybody that you found one area of the board heavier and the other one a little bit lighter or void. Like mine was completely void in those house positions. And to ponder that. Ponder that. Like, is it a place that you don't pay attention to? Is it not in your range of intention this year? I doubt it.
Right.
But
that's a really good point, because there's actually a lot of like wheels in the,
horoscope.
Well, no, I'm talking about like within like tools for personal development. There's this big wheel and it's cut up into different sections, very similar to the astrological chart. But what you do is, one is career, the other one is family, and you go around all these different aspects. But what you do is you start drawing in how confident, how much time, how fulfilled are you by these things, or how proud are you about these things? And once you draw those lines, you fill in, and you get to see this really cool type of pie chart of your opinions on your life, and I think that in this vision boarding, it was similar to that. Just like you're saying right now, is there a part that you just totally glazed over?
Blanked.
Yeah, you were like, I don't know. So I think that's a great point. It would be, I want to now peel mine out from underneath yours right now and check it out and see, what I what I think about it. And what I really like about vision boards, and the previous one that I had has been like my ultimate favorite. I love it. And
it's probably the gold.
It's the gold one. And I showed it on the video.
Yeah.
And I would just sit there and I would just soak it in and just look at it and kind of be in this very playful, creative space when I would look at it. And it was always a great motivator. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, well, also we have to talk about our other free event that just ended. And that's, unless you have anything else you want to discuss.
Well, no, I just really was proud of the fact that I attended something that Intention Beads had to offer.
How did you, out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
A five. I was quite impressed. Nice. And then when I got to the last, or the second last page of the PDFs you sent me, that everybody got, by the way, everybody that signed up for this free event. We have free events. I mean, trust me, it's important that we have free events. That includes everybody. Mm-hmm. That you had an affirmation. It was like in a picture of a comic
like a speech bubble.
A speech bubble. Okay. Mm-hmm. That must be the new terminology.
No, that's been like always the terminology.
Oh, how do you know? You're 33.
I know a lot of things at 33.
It's that you've got a stellium in Capricorn. Yeah, you do. But I call it the comic strip bubble. Mm-hmm. Anyway, to have an intention affirmation set to it, which is so alike our work. Yep. But no, 5+ stars was very easy. I continued. I was engaged and not, in charge. Yep.
And so many people got so excited about it that it thrilled us, and it got us even more excited. And, like Kate Green at the top of this episode, when I was sharing her email, she was so ready for it that she already had it done. Basically, she had it all cut out. She had it glued up. She wasn't the only one.
People were showing them I've been doing this all afternoon. I've been playing music. I am so happy.
Right.
I'm meditating on what I'm doing. I've never had so much fun.
And it's because I really think it's a sign of the time. Right now, this is the signature of this new start, the new beginning. We're here in spring, this new solar year has begun, and this is the beginnings. It's hard sometimes for me to think in the dead of winter, January 1st, December 31st. It's really hard sometimes for me to be like, okay, let's go. I'm so excited. Because then I look outside and I'm like, I don't want to go outside. I want to huddle in more.
And for the first time in last year was the first time in about 6 years we did not go to Bali in April or late March. And I guess that was more about I wasn't paying attention to spring, if you will. I don't think anybody was.
Yeah, it's true.
And all of a sudden this year, for, seeing our trees and this lilac bush out here, because we leave in March and come home in May. Mm-hmm. And so we miss springtime here in Chicago. So to be here for this right now has kind of been fulfilling to that new rebirth.
It is.
And I'd really want, last thing about this before we move on to our other free event, is that Carol Rushman, who taught me about vision boarding and putting the picture in the center, I give her kudos for that. But she didn't, and I'm sure she would be very proud of us, that we brought in the astrological houses that fan out from who we are, because we are all of it.
Right.
So anyway, good job, Alex. And
thank you.
Let's talk about the next free event we just concluded.
Yes.
Which there'll be another one.
Of course. And that was the 7-day intention challenge. And this really came up over a conversation you and I had about reigniting people's excitement about their talismans and about their new paths. And we wanted it to be available, at no charge to talisman wearers, from that wear our talismans. And
I want to interrupt right there because I think my first vision of this was here we are, January 1st. Okay, now we're January 2nd of this year, and we're like, we'd be in a plane now going to La Ventana, Mexico for our first international retreat that we hold down there for a week. And I got really sad about not being in the warm weather, not being with the community, not being with our group. And I remember saying to you, how can we replicate that in some way?
And I had already had, like, in my notes, and I have this, like, North Star list where it's kind of the direction I want to go in. It's probably way out in the future, everything on this list, but it's exciting and it's motivating to me. So I put it down there, and one of them was a 7-day challenge. Really? It was actually like a 30-day challenge, but again, that's in the future. But I incorporated that into our discussion and said, like, okay, well, let's do something like this. And it came together. Again, everyone that joined this 7-day challenge, even the people that were there listening to the recordings after, I know received so much support, excitement, motivation, and information. Yeah.
Because and we try to keep it to a half hour. That one time happened.
Yep.
And it's 7 days, and we did it at 10 a.m. Chicago time. And it was, you do have to sign up so we know we can get who we're going to get these links to. Because you do have to be an intention bead, clay bead bracelet owner. You do have to be that. So is it free? Yes, it's no charge, but you already have to purchase one of these other things. Right. And I've got thousands of people that have them. So, thousands and thousands of you are invited. And anyone that is in the future thinking about purchasing an intention bracelet, whether personal, I know I'm working on a bunch of personals right now, are invited to this in our next one, which will be the beginning of Q3.
Yeah, so we're so excited. Everyone that was on this call, I mean, there were tears, there were like virtual high fives. It was this really wonderful feeling of camaraderie and kind of eye to eye understanding, like soul to soul understanding, and knowing that you were in a safe, sacred place. And I find that to be so rare right now because everything is so virtual that it's kind of like, the Charlie Brown cartoon where the teacher goes, wah, 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 wah. Because like you're being talked to a lot of times when you're in a Zoom call or like a webinar. Yeah. You're not necessarily feeling so engaged, but this totally is that. And that's something that we want. We want engagement. We want interaction.
Well, I teach for about 10, 15 minutes. I do something that I come up with about an hour before we go on. And because I've tried doing it the other way, pre-planning in advance, and I was always changing it.
That part
I use
is
my
true.
intuition. I'm very keen on that, as to go, nope, we're going in that direction today. And it seems to always hit. And I mean, I saw people open up. I mean, if I want to say guts, because that was a big word that we used when I was a teenager, being gutsy, or, laying your guts on the table. I bring back that retro word, but it was a lot of that going on. Some of these people I've known been in my world for 7 or so years. 7, 8 years maybe, and I've seen them open up and wow, and feel safe in this, because you do. We go over the intention. Everybody says their intention, says their affirmation one at a time, and we all say, and so it is, and then they go into their gratitude, and we get to know a little bit about each other,
right?
And then we conclude and we get together the next day. So, wow,
so cool. I love it, and I hope that you can join us one time. If you're curious about it, of course, email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And I think that's a wrap on our episode today. So I appreciate you all listening in. You know we love you. Give us those 5-star reviews. Share our podcast with family or friends. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is fierce. And so you finally know you control